Hey, Miss Lady Blue. Hey, my little miracle Lady Blue. Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to Harmon Homestead. Guys, we're going to talk about injured chicken care today. And the reason I'm going to is I have my favorite hen here. She is a blue-laced red Wyandotte. She is just a little chunk, and her name is Lady Blue. If y'all have ever heard George Strait's song, Baby Blue, we named her Lady Blue. We just love that song. We love George Strait. So, guys, blue-laced red Wyandotte, that's how she got the name, and we're going to talk about injured chickens. I'm not a vet. I'm not giving out veterinary advice. I'm not giving out medical advice. I just want to tell you what has worked for us. So, guys, if you have little kids watching this, I know we have them on the channel, you may not want them to watch this video because we're going to get into some in-depth emergencies with chickens, okay? All right, so let's begin. I've told you before that we had 2 Labrador retrievers get into our chicken coops several years ago, or last winter, and it feels like eons ago. And guys, to be very frank, we lost 18 chickens that night, and it was a disaster. Look in the description of this video. I'm going to link a video that I have done on prefab coops, prefabricated coops. Guys, that was our first mistake. You cannot have that and expect it to keep out a large animal. You cannot. So all of our chickens were injured except what's behind me here. Now, all this that you see is new additions that we've done and hand built, my husband did, after the chicken attack. So you need a sturdy shelter for these animals. A prefabricated coop will not hold out 2 Labrador retrievers. It won't. It will not. I promise you, been there, done that, okay? So let's talk about Lady Blue. Lady Blue's our little miracle baby here. That morning, we found her, and guys, she's a chunk. I can't even get her in the camera. So she's our baby. She's beautiful. We found her, and she had a dog bite to her back here. It was very large. Probably the whole area was 4 inches long, and she had multiple puncture wounds to the back, but the worst one was the size of probably a dime in diameter. It was very, very bad. You've seen me in videos down by an old shed on the end of this property, and that's where she was in the brush. So if you do have an animal attack, check your property, because you may have animals in all different places hiding because they're too scared to come out. So that's where she was. We found her, and guys, it was bad. We don't have a vet around here that will deal with poultry. We don't. We've got great vets. We use a vet for our animals, like our dogs. He's a great vet, but he will not see like livestock, and it's pretty rare around here. You have to go to the next surrounding counties to even find one, okay? So that's the first problem. So we were left with no care here. We had nothing except what was on hand. And guys, the main problem was this was in January of last year. It was extremely cold that morning. It had rained all night, so she was soaking wet. Her feathers were wet, the wound was wet, and it was just like the worst possible scenario. So she was cold. The temps were cold. Guys, the first thing that we did with Miss Lady Blue here is we picked her up, we tried to warm her up, we tried to get water off of her with towels. I cannot remember, I think we blow dried her, if I'm not mistaken. It was so awful that morning, trying to get her warm, okay? Because the chicken was, I know she was hypothermic, seriously. And we tried to stop the wound from bleeding. We applied pressure, and we secluded her. That is the first thing that we did. If you have an injured animal, get it away from the rest. Guys, this right here is our little chicken brooder box. It's only half of it that I'm going to show you at the end. We have a heat lamp set up that's not plugged in, but we have an entire box here that is set up in our garage, ready to go if we need to isolate a chicken. This is a must-have if you are raising chickens. It's up off the ground. Now, Bonnie, Miss Bonnie. Bon. she's all over the road, guys. But you need to have this. And let me say this, if you have a source of heat, like a heat lamp over there, you need to have spare bulbs on hand, okay? If you're going to use that at all with your chickens. It's very important, because I promise you, we plug those in, boom, one bursts, and we have no other light. We learned that the hard way. But it's a huge area that we can keep chicks in. It's probably 3 foot in length, but that's plenty of space for one chick or one chicken if they are injured. Get you an isolation space. Now, we had no other pen to put her in except our huge coop back here with all of the other chickens that did survive the attack. So we put her in our chick brooder box, secluded away from everybody. If a chicken has an open wound, guys, this is a video for somebody that does not know what to do and just telling you what we did, okay? If your chicken has an open wound of any kind, I promise you the rest of the flock will go after that. Chickens just do that. It's part of their nature. They will, ooh, well, Lady Blue, they want to do that. So you have to get them away from everybody. Now, once we had put a pressure on the wound, we didn't know what to do. If I'm not mistaken, all the stores were closed that morning. It was the worst situation. We got her in the brooder box. We turned on a heat lamp to give her warmth because she was so cold. It was that time of the year and it was cold, so we warmed her up. We tried to start thinking out of the box, like, hey, what can we do that will help this chicken? Next, we flushed the wound. That's what we did. We flushed that wound out. Guys, dog bites are nasty. They're nasty. We knew it was dogs, and you just have to try to clean the wound the best you can, or that's what we did. So we flushed it out, and then we put, this is so controversial, we put hydrogen peroxide on it to try to kill whatever was there in that wound. Now, a lot of people will tell you not to do that. A lot of people say it works great. I don't know. You do what you think is best, and obviously the first thing I would do if I had a vet would be go to the vet, but I didn't have one. Couldn't get in with any other vet in the surrounding counties. Lady Blue, now Mama, are you camera shy? She said, I don't know about this. Guys, and I'm gonna tell you, this is kind of just FYI, but this chicken has been so flighty ever since the accident. It's a wonder she's even here with us, really. She's scared to death of everything. And so we flushed it out. We used hydrogen peroxide. Again, that is very controversial. Just do your research and see what you think's best, okay? The next thing we did is we put antibiotic ointment on it. That's all we had. That is all we had, and we soaked it down. We were worried about internal injuries. We didn't know if this chicken would make it or not. We were just trying our best to do the best that we could. A lot of people will say don't put antibiotic ointment that has pain reliever in it into the wound on these chicken care websites. I'm not sure why, but we just had plain AAA sitting in the house. We use it for us, whatever. And so we got some out of the tube, put it all over the wound, and let it be. Now, several days later, she made it. We gave her plenty of clean, fresh water. We changed her food. If a chicken is up off the ground, if you give them 11-way chicken scratch, regular chicken feed, the problem is that they need grit for their crawl to grind it. We didn't have any supplemental grit, so we did have, I think it was chick starter sitting here, chick starter and laying pellets, because at that time of the year, I think I had eggs in the incubator, and we were already ready for chicks. I believe it was chick starter, but either way, they don't have to grind that up with their crawl as much. You don't have to supplement grit. So we put her on kind of a basic diet, bumped her down to that chick starter, plenty of fresh water. I think that I may have put some apple cider vinegar just to help her metabolism and all, is what I thought. Just something clean, something to help. I think I put that in her water. About 3 days in, we noticed the wound was healing and it looked good. This is also controversial, what we did. We put Blue Coat on her wound. A lot of people know about Blue Coat. If you have animals, it will heal over a wound. People with horses, cattle, they use this kind of stuff. Now, a lot of people will tell you don't use that with chickens because A, you can't see signs of infection. Well, we just thought she was a goner anyways, and we were just trying to seal up the wound. After we had flushed it multiple times, there was new tissue. We had continuously, twice a day, I was putting antibiotic ointment on it. It looked better. It looked much better. She started looking better. Her temp was back up. She was doing great. And at that point, I believe I cut the heat lamp off. She was doing 100% better. So we put the blue coat on it, and it healed the wound. It covered it on up with herself. But people will say don't do that because, A, if you have your chicken with other chickens, which that is a no-no, do not do that. Do not put an injured chicken with your flock. You must have a secluded area. We call it the brooder box or a little chicken ICU. That's what it was. She was by herself because, again, chickens will peck at that. Second of all, if they see that blue coloring, they'll go after that. Or if they just see a wound, period. And people also say you can't see the signs of infection with the blue coat. Guys, we didn't know what else to do. That's just what we did. Now, that's all that we did. It took about a month with her separated from those other chickens. And we put her, I think we put her in this new area that my husband built with the same, let me see here, I'm trying to think. No, we put her back here by herself. We sure did. And we ended up getting some more chickens later on. That was blue lace red Wyandottes to go in there with her. But so she kind of had rule of the coop, but we weren't going to put her back with the biggest flock and the biggest coop because she would have been the weakling even if nothing was wrong with her. Mainly chicken care, you have to isolate. That's the main thing, guys, and you just have to watch it. We gave her every shot we had, or every chance, not every injection. We gave her every chance we had, and we just did the best we could. And she's our miracle baby. She survived, and again, she is not the same. She's not the same. She's scared to death of anything. She's very flighty, but she's having a good life, and she's happy overall. She has put on so much weight since this. Now, Bonnie, I don't know how Lady Blue's gonna like you being up here. Kitty cat. Go on, Miss Bonnie. But you just have to do the best you can. Now, she's great. The only problem is after the attack, guys, her egg production, I think she's laid maybe 10 eggs in a year and a half, almost 2 years. So she is here as a pet only. She's here because we love her and we've worked so hard to keep her. But don't expect your chicken to go back to perfectly normal. Her face looks a little different. She has scarring on her face, around her eyes. You can tell. She looked very pale for a while to me. Could have been blood loss that night, not sure. She's gotten a little better. And one thing, we kept her secluded and we wouldn't let her free range with the rest. She was petrified to free range when we finally let her go with the other chickens to the grass. She just didn't want to go out. She was scared. But now she free ranges. She's out. She's jumping around. She's happy. Good, healthy chicken. So that's what we did. If you have injured chickens, first thing I would do is have me a vet, okay? If we had one and we could get to one, we would use one, but we don't have one. And a lot of y'all watching me do not have a vet that will deal with poultry or livestock, and you have to do kind of a lot of DIY and just hope for the best with recommendations. Just telling you what, I'm not really recommending anything, I'm just telling you what helped Lady Blue and what we did. Again, the hydrogen peroxide is extremely controversial, and so is the blue coat, but it worked for us. So clean water and an isolation area, guys. You have got to isolate these animals away from the rest of your flock. A lot of people in general, when they're taking care of chickens that are sick, if they start out with baby chicks, they will have something called Nutri-Drench. We have that. It's just, it smells like beef broth. It's just vitamins in a tube that you can get at any farm supply store, your feed store. That you can put in baby chicks' waterers, and it will help them, supposedly, to get boosted up on electrolytes and all. We have used that and had great results. I really don't need it that often, though. When I first started incubating and hatching, or if I bought chicks from other people that were not probably the best of health when we got them. Okay, Lady Blue, I'm gonna put you down. Okay, Mama. Woo. She said, I'm done with this video. The Nutri-Drench seemed to help, but now we really don't use it that much because I don't need it that much. If you're dealing with baby chicks, again, you've got to make sure the heat is right. Whether it's your brooder plate, heat lamp, I tell y'all, we love Brincy brooder plates. That's the only thing I use inside my house. The only thing. I love it. I've had better success rates with it. I promise you, the heat plate is the way to go. Outside, we use a heat lamp, but inside, brooder plate. Nutri-Drench, there's also antibiotics on the shelves at any farm store, feed store, and I don't know how many has been pulled and how many has not. I know there is, I believe it's terramycin. There's several that have been removed in this area. We've got a bottle. You have to look into that. You really need to look into chicken care if you're going to do this yourself at home, but it does not hurt to have an antibiotic on hand, and if you need it, then you've got it. Now, a lot of this stuff has to go in by injection instead of oral. Some can be oral, some can be injection. You have to look this stuff up. I believe that ours has been terramycin, if I'm not mistaken. Your chickens may get respiratory infections. That's going to be your #1 problem. You need to look that up. Again, basics though, guys. Clean water. I like apple cider vinegar. Fresh food. Sunlight. Guys, that's one reason I love free ranging. I promote it day in and day out. Sunlight will help a chicken. Just getting out, scratching, activity, foraging, it is better for the chicken, okay? If you just do simple care, usually your flock will be okay. But you need to learn what to do in the event of, you know, some kind of medical emergency, okay? I would recommend looking up things that you probably won't know about. I tell you this before, I've told you this before, get in these backyard chicken groups. People will post on there problems with their chickens, and you'll learn that way. That's the easiest, cheapest way to learn about this stuff. Get on Facebook, wherever, and learn from other people's animals. That way you'll know if it happens to yours, like a respiratory infection, swelling around the eyes, things like that, that you'll learn. I have learned a lot. With ducks, I've joined duck groups. I've learned about angel wing and all. Have mine had that? Nope, don't think so. They're healthy as they can be, but I have become knowledgeable about that if I need to be in that event. Okay, guys? So again, not medical advice, just telling you what happened, but Lady Blue, she's our little miracle baby. She survived the attack. She was the only chicken that survived the attack, and I feel really sorry for anybody that has to go through this. Guys, if you have chickens, you know that they are the bottom of the food chain. Every predator around is going to want them. But the problem I had was my chickens were locked up on my property. Someone else's animal come onto my property, and that's not a really good feeling, you know. But you just do the best you can, and you have to start over. That's what we did. Now it's bigger and better than it ever was before. So, and we're a little bit more knowledgeable about prefab coops. Check that video out in the video description of this video, and really make sure you've got safe shelter. Again, brooder box. Have you a spare water and feeder on hand? You're going to need it at some point. I promise you. Keep it clean. Keep it on hand. I like to have stuff like chick starter or laying pellets on laying crumbles on hand in case you need something like that. That way you don't have to run to the feed store. And always just basic care supplies. Okay, guys, hopefully this will help. If you have any questions, let me know below. And please, guys, please like, share, and subscribe if I can get it out this morning, and help support our channel. We're rolling, but I need y'all's help, okay? We'll see you next time on Harmon Homestead.